I'm just going to kick it off quickly to just ask this question about sensitivity, because I think we are by and large discussing that, and what we are hearing from all of you is a fact that somewhere consciously, unconsciously, we made some mistakes, and we are perhaps wiser now, and going forward we will do certain changes. I just want to raise one question over here, because we keep using the word insight, and when we talk about insight, we say that it's that insight that drives advertising. Now, when we rely on insight, we always look at things as they are today. We look at things as they're meant to be, and we say that when we create our communication, this has to be insightful to the point of being realistic. It shouldn't be something that people can't relate to. So therefore, we are trying to sort of drive brands which are meant for the masses. So when we are being insightful, we know that humor works, and we know that it's okay to get a few people to laugh. That's insight, and it's also insightful to know that women have a terrible job where they can't handle their little naughty kids. So therefore, it's okay to use the cell phone to use God's voice and lie and project on screen that it's okay to lie to your kids that God is being angry with you, so on and so forth. I could just go on for the fact that it also then leads to the whole subject of insensitivity. That's where I started off, because in spite of knowing, maybe it required a Tare Zameen Par, but in spite of that, we know now that it's very difficult for certain people to finish school, but we have a lot of fun when Pappu pass ho gaya and you have chocolates, or for that matter, for a certain chewing gum, you need a certain dwarf who's a patient of a disease that no medicine can fix, and you need him so that you can laugh. You take that character out and that ad doesn't work. So the two questions to all of you: one, are we generally insensitive, or is it the insight which is making us insensitive? I know we're going to have a short session, but love to hear. Josie, you want to start? Or whoever wants to start.
Oh, okay. First of all, I think we should, Kaushik, I would like to limit my answers to the subject of violence against women, because I don't want to widen it to a subject of sensitivity in advertising, which is a huge, broad subject in the first place. Where women are concerned, yes, it is difficult to find a balance between showing what the reality is and pushing it. But I do think that it's possible for us the insights will generally be based on reality, as you were saying. It's possible to mirror it and push it. I think it's possible for us to do it. And I think it's also possible for us to convince our clients. Because finally everybody is a person with a heart, and they want to do, I don't think anybody is actively going out there saying, we want to show women as being lower than guys or anything like that. I don't think it's.
Thanks. I'm going to, my apologies to Mr. Rajat Ray. He was very much meant to be here, and he was the one who had the questions to all the answers. So I think we now need some answers from you. Rajat, if you can just join this, and please feel free to answer. Yeah. Geeta, you were saying something.
On your insight question, I think, one is there are insights and insights, and we choose insights, and the insights we choose must be the ones that push a reality. The consumers must get some kind of aha experience. We have beliefs and insights, and if we don't push our communication for an alternative, an insight that the consumer's never seen before, heard before, and if we don't then convert that insight into communication that shakes up your existing belief about something, I don't think you'll be successful in any advertising you've created. I think we saw lots of examples of ads, just using using an insight to create a new reality. And I think Josie also touched upon that in what he was talking about.
I'm going to build on that. Can you hear me? Is this on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just to speak about new reality, I think we have the power to create a new reality. All of us have that power. Now the power is based on an insight, right? But the insight is just a starting point. It's probably a minus A point. You can take it to a Z point. That Z point is our power. And if you have dreams and you want to create a world that you want to be a part of, you have the power to make that happen. So that's, for me, that's more important. It's less about the insight. It's more about the endpoint.
Right. Rajat?
When the first half we found the same ads or same commercials with two different points of view. Here we had some people saying they're great, some people said they're not too good. And I think while we will keep debating about insights, what is important, and it is very difficult to come to the line which says, okay, beyond this it's not good or this way it's good. It's very subjective. But the critical thing is that if by and large ads can trigger a larger way of thinking and not kind of labor to make a statement there and then, I think we have done the job. We are trying to expect too much to happen from advertising. It's just an enabler and not the end in itself. So,
Sunal, you want to add
And
something?
yeah, just need to add that, just want to add that people say that advertising by and large mirrors society or societal changes that are happening. I think there's I think a bit of a cop-out, and we should realize that we have immense power in the way we use words and pictures. And the other thing is that, and there are examples like that. For example, when a brand takes on this bigger platform of Jagore, you know, it's a great thing to do rather than just talking of product benefits. So that's the power that advertising has. That can start to shape, it can start to instill certain notions, certain thoughts into society. So that's one. The other is that there are many times we confuse facts for insights. You know, facts are superficial, and those facts then lead us into stereotypes.
Right.
While true insights, when you really think about them, could start to take you to place like where you have a woman who's a pilot, you know, who's getting hip replacement done rather than a housewife. You know what I mean? So I think the deeper we go, the better our advertising will be, the more real, more authentic, and that's when the true change will come.
Talking about stereotypes, and this is something that has been playing in my mind not for a very long time, but since the time we decided to do this. There are these brands who are very successful brands, and I think most people find them to be very offensive, such as the ones that make you fair. And most people say that shouldn't exist. I've had to fight battles. I have done some of those advertising where the lady in Doordarshan said that if you can make an African fair, I'll let your ad run. And I had to sort of come back and change the lines because Gorapan was taken out. Well, at least somebody talked about certain kind of censorship. That was censorship. I couldn't run that ad. And today whoever she was, she did say that. She said, make that African fair and I will let you run this ad. Now, talking about that, which is the kind of brand that everybody bashes, and now we are talking about stereotypes. The same brand actually has changed this whole equation of becoming fair so that she could get married, has actually gone on to show pilots and has shown successful executives, and also shown her rejecting a man in a kind of a matrimonial situation. And then they've also taken this beautiful thing about Mandira Bedi and created this woman who has been a successful cricket commentator. So they are actually breaking all the stereotypes. So how do you handle that? Because the brand has remained the same.
I have a point of view on fairness. One is, of course, we've got to understand where we've come on this whole fairness question. It's the kind of thing everybody in advertising tries to duck. It's the question we all face at some point, because if you're in the beauty business or you're in advertising, Fair and Lovely is one of the biggest brands you'll work with. A couple of things have happened. One is that fairness has suddenly become subsumed into a greater dialogue of lookism, of ageism, of, everyone's part of this dialogue. So fairness is one dimension to it. The other dimension might be that you're getting your teeth white, and the third dimension might be that you're going to the gym and you've got to lose 10 kilos of weight. It's all part of what we call the new lookism dialogue. So fairness per se itself has also changed. Men have come into the fairness category. The big market for fairness is now male fairness creams. right? When we've seen Fair and Handsome, we've seen everything. So the entire dialogue on fairness has changed. So we need to look at that. Now, what are we going to do in changing stereotypes? The point is that if we have a cricketer, a cricket commentator, a pilot, a person who's a great performer in a fairness commercial, the point is your color does not really matter. And that we must accept is the biggest stereotype that's been perpetuated, that must we consistently say it's a question of your color? Because it's become a powerful and iconic brand imagery, what can we do? What are the strategies we can take on? And I must give you an example of a campaign that PNG did, super campaign, you can go and look at it online, called My Black is Beautiful. And it, reclaimed a sense of pride for being dark. It started a movement. It was targeted as Afro-American women who face the same issues, right? Because they've been told that you must lighten your color, you must straighten your hair if you want to fit in with an ideal of beauty. So sometimes if you can't attack one stereotype, you can subvert it. You can create an alternative reality. I keep going back to what Josie said. It is possible in whichever way you can to create alternative models for people to aspire to or to follow. Because sometimes you can't change the current stereotype. I hope that's answered some part of your question.
Sure.
I think the issue, and I'm now speaking about Fair and Lovely or Fair and Handsome, the issue is in the brand name itself. The ad agency can do little about it. It basically says, you put this on, you're going to get fair, baby, and reach whatever goal. So for a brand like that to do Black is Beautiful will be impossible, because you said fair is handsome in the. So if you ask me, whoever is working on it should decide whether they want to do it or not. At RK Swami, we don't do cigarettes and we don't do alcohol. We lose profit, but that's okay. We need some rules, and we have to decide how we do it. That's what I believe.
Well, unfortunately, business being business, I don't think everybody is following the RK Swami way.
Convince the client.
Sure.
Change.
Yeah. Josie. Yeah.
You know what, I think it's business. You can, building on what Geeta said, I think that when you create a new reality and you can solve a problem, you can make black so beautiful that everyone wants to be black. And you know the market out there is waiting for you. If you look at what happened with Nike, we talk about just do it, right? And where did it begin? It began because they saw a market opportunity in African Americans. The first ad said they don't let you into their schools, they don't let you into their clubs, they don't let you into their neighborhoods. But the road is wide open, just run. Yeah, and that's what they did. They gave black Americans an opportunity to be part of something larger. And it's a business decision. At the same time, it's communication. At the same time, it's a larger purpose, and it kind of affects things deeply.
But Josie, the problem is that this is all about from which side are you looking at it, which is that they don't let you into those clubs and places, so don't try, just go and run. So that could be the other point of views. Anyway, my real issue, and I want to stop over here, is this is not about the gender issue, but I think it's more of an advertising issue. Because I heard Rajat say something like, don't expect everything to happen from these advertisements. And we are talking about absurdities over here, about whether it is the handsome, the fair and handsome, high handsome, or for that matter, this whole Cologne kind of, the axe syndrome, if I may call it. Is it possible that there is another thing that as advertising people and advertisers we need to look at, is the fact that there are people who say, ye ad wale to bakwas karta rehta hai, ye pura bakwas hai. So is it also possible that nobody is actually taking this very seriously, that this Cologne business, nobody is actually taking that so seriously? So from that point of view, is there a lesson for us to learn that, come on guys, I mean, let's not fool ourselves, this is not really going to be working?
I mean, even if you say that people do not take it seriously and they look at an ad and say, in the back of their mind, they know it's an ad, right? So they are taking that reality as an ad rather than knowing that it's real. But the fact is that imagery is slowly making an imprint over time, It happens over time. So that's why it's very, very important that what we give out in terms of communication, whether it's in terms of imagery or the kind of insights that we work with or the kind of notions that we are projecting. And this, for example, fairness cream debate will continue to go on. But on one level, it's the way you communicate about it. Per se, there is nothing wrong with fairness cream, as in a tanning cream, or a tanning lotion. It's a question of choice. I want to be bald, or I want to, have a fairer skin, or I want to tan my skin, all that. But it's what you say about it, what notions you project. That's what we are debating also,
Right.
One quick thing. I think, frankly, first of all, we are all very hungry because in both the questions you've also tucked in the answers, the last two. Because the first one, you said that when there is a stereotype, then can they be, you talked about the pilots and all. I think the answer there is that I don't think we can say we'll not handle a certain product category. But perhaps the answer is in trying to reposition that product category. People have talked about a glowing skin. That's not a fair skin. And it seems to have worked. The second one where you did, I think that this entire thing about the commercial we saw about this newlywed looking at this person and taking her jewelry off, it's so insane that I don't think anyone is, I mean, it's worth doing a research on whether anyone takes that seriously. People may have laughed, but it's so stupid that I don't think it'll be taken very seriously. So it's just it's like a comedy.
But I would debate that. People might not take it seriously, but again, over time, continuous exposition to such imagery and is what builds these stereotypes of male power and man on top, and violent, and if you look at many such commercials over time,
Right.
It's not just one commercial. It's a plethora that you see together that starts to bombard you, And bombard, see, certain minds will be discerning minds, and there are certain minds which will be more impressionable, in terms of.
See, if you're a person who is a borderline, which seems to be with lots of people, that girl is available. So any girl is available. Now that's the point, that's the problem with that ad. So although it's absurd, that image, if it's repeatedly shown, gives the feeling that generally the women are available. That's the sad part about it.
I mean, one need not have those ads, but I think it's not something that's really the culprit in the whole thing.
Even the baseline just attack her. I mean, these kind of lines should be banned. Actually.
Yeah, I agree
Absolutely.
completely.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
No, I think I realize that I have been allowed to ask a lot of questions, and the audience may have some more questions, so I'll let them. But I think what you said, Sonal, is completely true. There is enough evidence and proof, and I would request everybody over here to look up. We will share some of that. The fact is that this has its impact. There is enough proof to show the kind of advertising that happens. At least in America, it has been documented to show that it has a huge negative influence, and there are women who actually continue to suffer because of that. With that, I'll just hand you over to the audience.
Thanks. It's been a great morning, great insights shared by you, but I come from the background of academia. And my plea to all of you all is please share this with academia. Teachers don't know how to teach this. They don't know how to sensitize students. Your new content creators are going to be students of yesterday, right? So please go out there and give lectures. We had Josie Paul come to college once and speak, and I still remember him from then. I don't think you remember me at HR college, but you were there talking on does sex sell? And by God it does in your industry. But if you can just somewhere teach teachers how to impart that. I think Dr. Sharda's come out with a book for that. But can you all come to colleges, come down to the real world and share with them? I mean, I'm thrilled to hear that R.K. Swami doesn't accept alcohol companies advertising. It's an amazing thing. I didn't know that, and I've been teaching for donkey's years. We want to know all this. We want you to share with academia whatever you're doing. Great work you're doing, but we don't get to know much of it. So that's my plea.
Please invite our volunteer.
Yes, definitely.
We're a
I take
modest
that as an
profession. We don't talk about ourselves.
I've been there once before, long time back.
Is there any other question?
So my question is, first the observation that yes, Indian woman has come a long way, okay, and we are in it together, men and women. We are responsible for whatever is happening. So my question is that are we consciously changing a lot of mindsets, and everything we are doing is around changing this woman, but are we doing enough to change these men?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Are we doing enough to change the men?
Yeah, because I think Indian woman is changing, are men also changing with it?
Anybody who would like to answer this question?
Are you speaking about adverts or what are you speaking about? It's unclear.
Yes, media and advert, everything
I
put
think
together.
as
Basically, the
communication
portrayal
and
of
media
women.
as a whole,
See, in adverts, there is some change to some degree. I believe that because the adverts tend to reflect what we all feel very often, as opposed to what the TF feels, we tend to push our values into it, and we all actually believe in gender. So there are enough images where men are shown as having a positive attitude to women, but there are not enough of them. The percentage is not enough. I believe in advertising. But in the media, in the content, I'm not at all sure that percent, I think the percentage is very low and lots needs to be done in that area.
Okay.
I think one thing that's happened is that women's roles themselves have changed much more dramatically
Yeah.
and expanded. The dimensions of what they're doing has changed much more in the last 10 years than perhaps men's roles. Having said that, there's no reason not to have men doing a lot more stuff than their standard stereotypical roles in the commercials we create or the television serials we write.
Thank you, that answer.
Hi, Josh.